Yeah.
What's up, Barney?
Hi, Falc. How are you?
How are you, bro?
I'm good.
Good. You like the new setup?
Love the new setup.
I love it
Great
too.
stuff.
Nice microphones. 1, 2, 3 cameras.
3
All going at
cameras,
once.
2 lights, 2 microphones. We just came in the mail yesterday. We're very excited.
Yeah. So yeah, as you guys can see, we purchased some new equipment. We're gonna be trying some new episodes here and
A new
there.
format.
A new
People
format,
say.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's sort of a podcast style format that we're gonna be doing when we're together. Maybe.
Everyone has their podcast, so might as well jump in.
We might post it on Spotify if we figure out how to do that. So
pretty hard, but yeah, we'll try to
if
figure
you're
out.
listening to Spotify, that's amazing. That means we did it.
That means we did it.
Thank you. Subscribe there too. Awesome. So how's the trip? Big episode last week.
It was good. Great episode. Got a lot of good feedback from the people that went, from the people that didn't go, from the people that probably won't have the chance to go ever. It's a great way to see the Grand Canyon and the West Coast. I had a lot of fun. I'm not an outdoors guy, but it was definitely a cool experience, hiking, seeing everything. And I got out of my comfort zone, which we'll talk about later.
Okay.
But it was pretty cool.
So you went to Vegas, Grand Canyon?
So my senior trip, after I graduated, I went to Orlando. Then my friends came to Miami. Then we went to Vegas for a couple of days. And then we did the whole RV trip. So after all, it was 2-3 weeks of traveling. Obviously, I came here exhausted. Yeah. But it was worth it.
So if you had to rank a percentage between like 100% being both books and beers, what percentage was the books? What percentage was the beers?
I think it was probably 90% beers, 10% books, which is when you texted me to do some books and beers posts.
Oh, okay.
and editing. That was the books part. But yeah, it's always good to have balance in life, and it was.
That's what the people don't see behind the scenes. Is like when we're doing like these trips or we're working like on a work day, we're still like going online and like doing posts and like content and all
and
that
texting
stuff.
each other to do posts. And people ask me all the time, like, do you read 2 books do you read a book every 2 weeks? And the reality is we don't. No. We don't. It's really hard.
We have a backlog from quarantine that we still have and we still use.
Right. In quarantine we could, but now with school, you have work, everything going on, we can't. And so we've tried to incorporate like different videos to our like posts.
Yeah. So I think it was like the Friday that you were coming back. I don't know what I was doing, but you sent me a quote from the book that we're gonna be talking today because you were in the airport and you bought it, something like that, right?
So yeah, as you said, I did 95% of the beers during the trip. So coming back, I feel guilty, and I wanted to get back to like reading, to doing serious stuff after celebrating my graduation. And as I was walking on the airport, I wanted to get a book, and I remember you telling me that Greenlights was an amazing book.
Yeah. And
I didn't see any other book that I liked, so I said, let's pick up Greenlights. I started reading it, waiting for a soccer game that was in an hour,
mm-hmm.
And so I started reading it. 10 pages, 20 pages, 30 pages, 40 pages. When I saw I was 2 hours in, couldn't stop reading, didn't watch the game because it was so good. And yeah, everything you said in the video, if you haven't seen the video, check it out. It's such a good book because it's just him telling you stories about his life. And it's a memoir, but it's really also a self-help book in a way, which we'll talk about.
Yeah.
It's not so much him saying, this is my life, these are the things that I did well, but him saying like, oh, these are the things that I did well and the things I did wrong and the experiences that helped me, and hopefully these experiences can help you. And it was cool because, as you know, everything was written in a journal, and he has like little takeaways from his journal, which are pretty cool.
Yeah. Wait, so if you don't know like who we're talking about, it's Matthew McConaughey. We mentioned. Yeah, the book is Greenlights. He released it like I think it was like October
20th, day before my birthday.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it was like late last year. He finished it writing it when he was in quarantine. He's been keeping a journal for like 14 years, and then he realized that he wanted to write the book. So that's one of the things that makes the book amazing.
I think it's 36 years.
Yeah, something like crazy like that.
He kept a journal for 36 years since he was 15.
And I bought this book because obviously it was coming out, and I heard it was amazing. We have a friend, Chalela, who doesn't read a lot, but he bought the book, and also just like you, he got hooked. And I bought it after I got my wisdom teeth out, and I read it in like 2 days. It was like a huge bender. Obviously, I wasn't doing anything, and I read it, and then I did an episode that Barney mentioned. If you guys haven't seen it, go check that out. And Barney, like, remember you really liked that episode, and you were also like, yeah, I definitely want to read this book.
Because it was in the middle of quarantine, and I remember you telling me that, obviously, like, the whole atmosphere with quarantine was negative. It was, pessimistic.
Yeah.
It was, and in that video at the end, you say, one of the title of the book is Greenlights. And what Matthew McConaughey says is to just chase green lights, to go chase green lights, chase those moments in life. And whenever he tells a positive story,
he puts green lights.
He puts green lights to say like, oh, that was a good moment. Let's keep moving forward. And
well, because every person that writes an autobiography, a memoir, they have their own topic, right? So I think like Shoe Dog was like really oriented in the business and like saying how he built his business. Yeah. The other one that I read, well, I think What It Takes, the other one that you read was also like oriented in the business. The point of this one is, besides him telling the stories of his life, is him showing you that literally what he says in the book is that sometimes you have bad situations in life, which are like the red lights or even the yellow lights. And the point is that those are going to turn green too.
Right.
So that's why I thought this memo was different, was because he had like a big point and a big way of like communicating his story, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, you know, one of the big takeaways that I took from this book is that whenever you're going through tough times in life, and it's going to suck, but as you say, those red lights and yellow lights are going to pass by and they're going to turn green. And whenever you're going through green lights, through positive experiences, make sure you soak them in, make sure you take them in, because most likely life is going to throw something at you. Most likely something's going to happen and it's going to get tough. He says in an interview with Joe Rogan that he kept a journal like every other kid, detailing like whenever something bad happened to him. But when he was 22, he realized he also had to take down whenever something positive happened. So when he got into a rough patch, he could read those moments and he could remember those good times.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool too.
So when you read that, do you ever think about like starting a journal or like maybe pointing out the times where things are great? Because he says that one of the best times in his life when he started doing that of keeping a journal, because it was really good. It was literally at our age, which is 22, 23.
Right. No, yeah, absolutely. I actually have a journal with me. I put more or less like notes and to-do lists and stuff like that. But after reading this book, for sure, I definitely thought about like putting in like certain experiences. And he says that he did that more so to remember. He did it to forget about those things.
Yeah.
To put them down and be like, okay, I don't have to remember that because I can read it at any point in time.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool. Like another big thing he says is his hero is himself 10 years in the future.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool thinking 10 years from now, reading all your journals, like you can go through all the emotions and everything you went through and see where you are.
Yeah. So that you mentioned, I think he mentions in the book, but that's obviously coming from the big speech that he gives when he wins the Academy Award for the Best Actor. What I like about the book, which is one of the things I wanted to mention, is obviously the big moments in his life, like things that you probably have seen, like when he wins that award, when he goes to act in The Wolf of Wall Street.
Right.
He gives you the behind the scenes, which is really cool. Like for example, in The Wolf of Wall Street, that scene where he's doing the little humming, which becomes a central part of the movie.
Right.
That wasn't planned. That he does that every single time before he starts the movie. And what I really liked, and you probably caught this, was that he starts doing it and the camera was already rolling, but he's literally doing it before the scene. And when you see Leonardo DiCaprio like literally like look away from the camera, he says that he was looking at the director being like, what the fuck is going on? Like, should we keep this going?
Right.
And apparently the director was like, yeah, keep it going. And that became like a huge part of the movie, which that was one of my favorite parts of the book.
No, yeah. And I think that he says is that most of his scenes are like that. In a lot of movies, he only had like 3 lines of dialogue. And he says in that scene that he only had like 3-4 lines of dialogue. And it became a huge monologue. If you haven't seen The Wolf of Wall Street, I definitely recommend it. Yeah. That scene ends up being like 5 to 10 minutes of him explaining to Leonardo DiCaprio what Wall Street is. And he goes on, and he has a fugazi, whatever, the little thing.
The humming, yeah.
And that was mostly improvised. And that shows you how much he likes it and how much he enjoys improvising. And another thing that it's going to tie me back that I wanted to talk about is that a thing he says is he loves improvising, but he also learned the hard way how important it is to prepare for everything.
Yeah.
And so once you're prepared for something, now that you have that base, you can improvise in other ways, you know? But you have to have that base. You have to be prepared.
And that's the insight that he gives you about being an actor. So when you're a little kid, you're like, oh, being an actor has to be like the easiest thing.
Right.
Obviously, as you get older, you start realizing how good actors are. But he explains, like, when he did Dallas Buyers Club, he prepared for that. I think it was like 4 months of just starving himself because he had to lose all the weight. and then how he had like another role after that he had to like gain a bunch of weight because he was a detective, and how he was sometimes going prepare for a role, and then he would just spend like months away from his family just preparing, like getting in that mindset. That I thought was something that was crazy.
It's you realize that being an actor is only like showing up and acting. It takes a mental toll. Like him doing romantic comedies. At the end of the day, he felt like those romantic comedy movies weren't fulfilling to himself, and he wanted to do something more. And it's not just showing up, getting the paycheck, saying a couple lines. It takes a toll on your mind, on your. You have to be someone else for a while, and that's an insight that he has on the book as well.
Because when he did the thing with romantic comedies, which I didn't know, because I guess I don't watch that many old movies, but he was like a romantic comedy guy. And then one day he called his agent. He was like, "You know what? I'm done with this. I'm done." So he spent, I think it was like 2 years without getting a single movie, because he would just keep getting romantic comedies until someone gave him a chance to go back into more like drama, action, like deeper films.
And that's when his career took off.
Yeah. And I mean, Matthew McConaughey is one of those actors that he's just amazing because he can do everything. Like, he can do comedies, he can do action, he can do drama.
He has range.
Exactly. One part. So I mentioned this in my video. So the part where he goes and lives in Australia. So he does like a study abroad for like a full year. I had a part in that book, which is one of the few times in my life that I've been reading a book and I've been like, out of nowhere, I started to laugh out loud. Like literally reading, you start laughing out loud. It was the part that he's having like a bad time with the family that he's staying with. He decides he's gonna leave, and then he goes and he keeps keeping up with the family, with the Australian family. Like, they will keep doing like weird things to him. He was like, you know what? It's fine. Different culture. And the day he's about to leave, the family comes up to him and he's like, "Hey, you know what, Matthew? You're staying."
And by the way, before Falcon finishes the story, the dad and the mom, they're like 5'4", tiny fat people, and that's what makes it very funny.
Yeah. And he also he writes it as if they were speaking in with an Australian accent, which is the funniest thing. And then he was like, "You know what, Matthew? You're staying." And you can just see him writing how he just blasts out of anger, just throws his suitcase and goes,
destroys the door.
He's like, "What the fuck are you saying? Get out of my way! I'm leaving this house.
I'm gonna beat you up."
I don't know why I found that so funny. I guess there's
it was calm,
but it's one of the few times just being dying of laughter by reading a book.
And that's one of the things that I found relatable, because he goes to Australia to challenge himself and to experience a different culture. And at first, we've moved from Venezuela to Miami, and I moved from Miami to Boston. And at first it might be hard, it might take time, getting used to it. But at the end of the day, looking back to it, he says that was probably the most important formational part of his life.
Yeah.
And that's true. That's when you feel relatable. That you have to be, once you're spontaneous like that and you put yourself out of your comfort zone, it's gonna suck at first. You might have experiences like that, awkward experiences. Mm-hmm. But after everything is set in stone, you look back and you're probably gonna say, "Thank God I went through that, because it made me stronger in a way."
Well, we both have that story with moving from Venezuela, because we both did at different ages. And funny enough, we both wrote our college essays about that. The classic story of moving from a country, the hard times, making new friends and all that stuff. So I have, obviously, we can talk about this book for hours, and we haven't talked about it because we purposely wanted to do it in front of the mics and filming it. I'm gonna share my favorite part, and you'll share your favorite part if you like. So one of the things I found the coolest was that he says that he decides to grab his truck, he modifies the interior completely, and I think he puts a bed in the back. He puts an antenna so he can watch all the football games that he wanted to watch. He opens a hole in the car so he can pee while he's driving. And then he dedicated himself for a year just driving around the United States.
And he got an RV too.
He got an RV too.
Yep.
So that part was crazy. That's the part. Well, I mean, you just had an RV trip.
No, I had an RV trip
that for a year.
And literally after I had the RV trip, I picked up the book, and I thought to myself, I could not do this for 2 years, because granted, he was by himself with his dog, but I was living in the RV with 6 people, but in the RV you have to drain the water. It's packed. It's it's not the comfort of your home, and this is not him struggling to make ends meet and trying to save money.
He just wanted to do that.
He was successful already.
Yeah.
He had a bunch of rom-coms. He just wanted to do that. He wanted to experience the U.S. He wanted to go to the Yankees game, then go to another to another event. And that was crazy for me. It was cool, and the way he tells you the story, all the things he experiences, and at the end of the day, I think he's this smart, and he knows this much about the world because of all his travels and all he has a lot of culture. He's gone through a lot, and whenever you hear him talk, you can tell like he has a lot of stories, a lot of cool things. And that's one of the things I wanted to implement in my life, is to travel more, to be more spontaneous, to have those experiences, because at the end of the day, those experiences are the ones that build you up.
Yeah.
But I wanted to talk about something which I found interesting, which is a story of him becoming an actor. I don't know if you...
I sort of do. I think it was like a model because he's trying to make some money in college, something like that.
It was him. He was studying law, I think, in UT. In the University of Austin or University of Texas.
Yeah, University of Texas at Austin.
In Austin.
He's a huge
Longhorn fan.
Yeah. He's a teacher now, a professor now.
A professor now. And he was studying law, and obviously he wanted to tell his dad about he wanted to study acting out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I think he picked up a book, The Greatest Salesman in the World.
And which we also have a video of.
You have a video on.
Yeah.
And I think that inspired him to become an actor.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was interesting to see how his struggle of having to tell your dad, like, oh, I know you're paying, I think back then it was $20,000 a year for college. His family wasn't extremely well off, so it was a lot of money. It's still a lot of money.
Yeah.
But hey, I know you're paying $20,000 for me to go to law school, but I don't want to go to law school. I want to go to film school.
Mm-hmm.
And you see his struggle, like, oh, I'm gonna call him at 7 because at 7 he's gonna be happy, whatever. And at the end of the day, he calls his dad. And his dad tells him, like, obviously he's like, he stays quiet for a while, but then he tells him something that he says it's one of the biggest values that he's learned throughout his life. He says, don't half-ass it. Like, don't just do it halfway.
I didn't remember this. It's awesome.
He says, don't half-ass it. And obviously, like, Matthew McConaughey was thinking, he's going to say, like, are you kidding me? You have to be a lawyer. You can't do that. I'm not going to pay for film school. And out of all the answers, that was the best case scenario. He said, don't half-ass it. And that was a thing that stuck with him for the rest of his life. If you're going to do something, whether it be running, whether it be whatever it is, studying, just don't half-ass it. Do it consistently, do it full on, commit yourself to it. And at the end of the day, you're probably going to get good results. Yeah. And that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I didn't remember that. Actually,
that was probably my favorite part.
That was one of my favorite part too. He talks about his dad a lot. He obviously, like, his dad was an interesting person. He talks about like his childhood and like all the stories that he had with him. And then in the speech that he gives, I think is someone to look up to, someone that you admire or something like that. And his dad was one of them.
Right. And one of his biggest goals in life was to become a dad.
That's right.
Which is crazy because that's that's been his goal since he was 8 years old.
Yeah. And
that's not a goal that normal people have when they're 8. And he says that when he became a dad, he became the happiest person in the world.
The way his dad dies is interesting, but we're not going to mention it.
We're not going to mention. You have to read the book to find out.
You have to read the book to find out. Yeah. So when I did this episode, I actually got a few people that... So it's kind of common now when we go out, when we're like a happy hour, we're in a social setting, people just walk up to us and start talking about books, which is awesome. But, sometimes... They
go, oh, you're the books and beer guy.
You're the books and beers guy, yeah. He's like, dude, I've been reading this book. Someone that you haven't seen in years. He's like, dude, I've been reading this book. And
you're the books guy.
It's cool unless there's like loud music and they get like deep into the book. That's when it gets a little... In
social settings, you don't want to be talking about books.
Not
always.
No.
Sometimes you
But
do.
if you're reading the book and you're watching this video and you see it, please come up and tell us. That gives us a lot of motivation and we like it. But Greenlights is one of the big ones that people come up to me and tell me they've read it. And they really like it. And they say that the audiobook is a big one because he narrates it. So there's people that even get the book but listen to the audiobook as well.
And that's cool. Because that guy has like a badass like voice.
Voice, the thing with the whistling, so that's really cool.
That's right, a long audiobook.
Yeah. No, but I think it's like 3 hours. Do you think that Matthew McConaughey is one of the coolest persons alive?
Bro, honestly, I think so. I saw a video. You guys might have seen it. He owns Austin FC.
I haven't seen it. I know you sent it.
Austin, the MLS soccer club.
Which just started, right?
I think so, yeah. I think they're new. And one of besides all the cool movies he's done, and after reading the book, you see he's part owner in a soccer club, and you see him like banging like a drum, pumping up the crowd, and he has like the long hair, like a green suit, and it's super. He's just a super cool guy, and we talked about it. He has interviews with Joe Rogan, in Part of My Take, which is
a
Barstool podcast.
Yeah, that episode is really cool too because they like mess with him a little more.
And technical difficulties, and you see like this guy, like he's a cool guy. He can talk about anything. And yeah, but that video, that if you haven't seen the Austin FC video, you have to watch it.
There's also the speech that he gave for
the Oscars or
no, for the UT Austin. He gave a speech in practice when UT Austin was like going.
And he does that, I think.
Yeah. The let it fucking rip. What's it called? The speech. And there's also, I mean, like Friday Beers has one of the best videos is like him when they like put the let it fucking rip speech over it. It's the funniest thing.
No, and he does that with the UT football team, and he does speeches. Like he does everything.
He's like a big UT guy and a big person. Yeah, so top moments is definitely like him at UT. That video that you sent the other day. If you read the book, I don't know if you agree with this. I encourage you to read the book first and then like watch a few of the interviews that he did. So like Joe Rogan, Part of My Take is amazing because they're more like casual, like they joke around a little more.
They make fun of him, like
yeah. So that's amazing because you also get like a deeper insight into a few of his stories.
No, and honestly, after reading the book, I saw Wolf of Wall Street again. I started watching True Detective on HBO.
Yeah. And
honestly, he has good movies and good work that I hadn't seen before.
Yeah. Have you seen Dallas Buyers Club?
I haven't, and it's cool because he won the Oscar for the best actor for that one,
which is the same year of The Wolf of Wall Street.
Yes. Yeah. Because he was competing against Leonardo DiCaprio so that movie was supposed to be made for $10 million, and they couldn't get the budget, and they ended up making it for $7 million.
That's right.
So it's not a big budget film, and who would have thought that it was a movie that was gonna bring him the success, the best actor role.
Best actor for the one.
And I think the movie made like 50. So it's not a big movie, a big budget movie, but that would be a good watch definitely.
Lincoln Lawyer is another one.
I haven't seen it.
He touches on it, but he doesn't even talk about it. Like he's like, yeah, I did this, did that movie. That movie is really good. I really liked. He's a funny guy in that movie. Like it's an action movie and it's like drama because he's a lawyer and he's like a criminal lawyer.
Right.
But he just has the ability of like saying like funny comments and stuff.
Yeah. He's definitely you can tell and he says that he brings his personality onto like the screen. Like when he acts, like his first role when he says all right. That was himself.
That was improvised.
That was himself. That was him being
amazing.
He thought himself like, all right, I have to. His first movie ever, his first scene was. They told him, hey, you have to hit on this girl. He didn't have any lines. And he told himself, okay, I have to hit on this girl. I have this. Let's go. And he was improvised. He was himself. He always takes a bit of his personality and he puts it in the movie.
Yeah.
But another thing that he says in the book that you can apply it to real life is how he got his first big movie. I forgot the name of the movie. It was with...
Yeah, the one based in John Grisham. A Time to Kill?
A Time to Kill.
Yeah.
A Time to Kill. And it was basically just don't be afraid to fail and just ask. He was sitting with a director and he was applying for a minor role, and the director I think told him like, we're looking for someone big for this role, for someone to lead, and he's like, I can either try to get the minor role or I can ask this big time director to give me that role.
Yeah.
And he told him, he's like, look, like we want a big name because we want a big name to lead the film. And then the woman counterpart, I forgot who she was.
Was it Sandra Bullock, I think?
I think so. She made a big time movie, and the studio already had their big name star in Sandra Bullock.
Oh, okay.
And so the director said, you know what? We already have the big name. We want to save some money. We don't want to pay like a big time actor. I think we're gonna take you on.
Yeah.
And if he wouldn't have asked and pressured the director to give him the role, he would have never gotten it. And it's just that, get out of your comfort zone, just ask. You're not going to lose anything. And you see it every time. We talk about it when you're in a social setting with girls, when you're applying to jobs, when you're talking to someone, just don't be afraid to fail and just go out there and ask.
That's one of the big things that he talks about, which I really like, is like his experience with girls. The way that he meets his wife, that he's been happily married for a long time. That's really interesting. He talks about a story that when he was in high school, he thought he could be cooler because he could get like another car that was like cooler than the one that he had before, to then realize that like girls didn't like him because he had his new car. They rather him with his old car. Those are just amazing stories that like you have to read the book and then like watch him in the interviews to understand that it's awesome. It's awesome.
That's one of the things that I liked about the book, is that it's not just him saying you know, this is what I did. I told the director to give me the role. He gave me the role. I'm awesome. I'm a super cool guy. I'm insane. He's very human in the way he says it, and he says you can do it too.
Yeah.
Just have this mentality. You know, my dad. I did this because my dad taught me this. I have these values in mind, and because of these things, I was able to mentalize myself and do this. And he also talks about his shortcomings. There's times that he was feeling down. He wasn't feeling himself. He
gets arrested.
He gets arrested. He there was a period in time that he drank a lot. There was a period in time that he didn't know what to do with his life. And he also explains how he got out of those holes. And so for people out there that might be going through tough times, you know, it's a way to say you might, for example, one time I think he was like in like a dark period of his life that he didn't know what to do. And he was kind of lost, and he had a dream that he was in the Amazon with like some Africans. It's complicated. Don't ask me to explain it. You have to read the book. But at the end, the next day he's like, you know what? I'm gonna go to the Amazon, and he goes to the Amazon and
he wrestles some guy.
That was in Africa. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyways, after wrestling the guy or after seeing a light, everything like clicked for him, and it was like a switch. Like, not at that point he was happy again, and
the red light turned into a green light.
Right.
Yeah, like not to sound corny, but yeah.
No, yeah, and it's true. Like there's little moments in life that you don't realize, and it happens. You know, the red light and the green and the yellow light is gonna turn green when you least expect it. You're gonna meet someone. You're gonna see something. You're gonna be with someone. You're gonna be like, you know what? Like, this is awesome. I know I'm clear now.
Yeah.
And I think if he wouldn't have kept the journal, he wouldn't be able to like go back and, you know, see those things. And that's why it's pretty cool that he kept all those things. And I think now with iPhones, like, you can take pictures, you can text people, and you have more of a documentation. But still, like, writing things down are still pretty cool, and I might try it out, honestly.
I might try it out, maybe not daily, but if you try it like once a week, that's a good thing to do.
Yeah. No.
And that's another thing that's awesome about the book, is that it's not only like pages of text, is that he has a bunch of pictures, he has a bunch of like copies of his journal, and he also has this big thing with bumper stickers. Yeah. How he says that bumper stickers are an awesome representation of someone's life, because through like one sticker you can see like who's the person behind the wheel. So he has like a bunch of different pages of like just bumper stickers that he likes, pictures from other stories that he's telling you, which is awesome because it gives you more perspective. Right. And that's one of the reasons why it's so good. But yeah, I like you said, I mean, the book is self-help, like you said. I love that part about the memoir, is that him telling the story, but him explaining to you how bad things are going to eventually turn into a green light. And I love that message. Like, after this book, I wasn't that big of a Matthew McConaughey fan. Obviously, he's awesome, but I wasn't like that big of a fan. Now I'm a huge fan. Like, now I'm a
actually, I didn't.
McConaughey guy.
I honestly, I never saw him as a big movie star, because I never got into his movie. I obviously, we all saw him in Wolf of Wall Street, but I never like saw his big works. I never, like, I was never a fan of his. Yeah. And after reading this book, like, it is someone that you can get behind, you can. Yeah. He looks extremely humble. He's not like a big cocky guy like you see in his interviews. With the Austin FC, I think the other part owner, I think he's Mexican or he's Hispanic. Oh, okay. And you can see he's a super cool guy. Like, I remember there's a video on Twitter that he goes up and he's like, "¿Qué pasa, man?" like in Spanish. Like, the guy is super cool, honestly. Yeah. And I think he's gonna release. I saw it on Amazon. He's gonna release in December a journal toolkit. Really? So we might check that out.
I think that's right. Yeah, I think I heard of something. He has a cool merch too, which actually.
He has cool merch. I went to get a hat. I saw the hats. Yeah. We might.
Do you have your phone on you?
Yeah.
Okay, so one thing that I did.
Wait, actually, I don't.
Okay, whatever. Both Barney. When I finished reading this book, I liked the cover so much, like without his face, that I put it as like my background in my phone.
We both did.
And Barney did it too.
I did it too. I copied Falcon. He does it. He shows it in the video, and I got inspired.
And I think it's like a good reminder. It's like a good reminder to have.
Thanks for that.
Yeah. But yeah, man, awesome book. I mean, I'm super happy that you decided to get it during when you were in the
I am too, because honestly, I enjoyed it a lot. And at the end of the book, I don't know if we should say this, but a cool thing that I did recently is at the end of the book he has 10 goals. I don't know if you remember.
No, I actually didn't remember. No.
He puts like the 10 goals. This thing is falling off. He has like the 10 goals that he wrote down in 1992, before he got famous, before he got big, pretty much. And you see those goals, and I think that something that I did recently was I got my new journal that I got, and I wrote down 10 goals for the future to see if I can meet them all. Because, for example, one of them was obviously be a father, win an Oscar for the best actor.
Yeah.
And then he has 8 more that I'm not going to mention, but he accomplishes them all, and that has to be something cool, you know? Like, write down your goals, and then 20, 30 years from now, you look back, and you accomplish them all.
It's hard because I have been big in goals like this year. Like when the year started, like January, I wrote down 21 goals I wanted to accomplish in 2021.
Okay.
And sometimes you do have to see them, because if not, you forget about them.
Right.
Like if you ask me right now what the goals are, I can probably name 10, and there's like 10, like 11, 10 others that I don't remember. So for him, I think is that he didn't see the goals, but he saw them after.
Yeah.
Like when he opened the journals again. And I mean, that's awesome. But
that's awesome.
Big focus on goals is a
he
big
says
one.
that he didn't remember that he wrote down the goals, and when he looked at him last year, 2020, 2019, he accomplished them. And who knows, like if we keep a journal, maybe when we
gotta keep a journal now, like we have to.
We have to.
This episode,
maybe,
we have to.
Maybe when we're 50 and Books and Beers is a conglomerate, is a world known media company. Maybe we do a memoir, and we write a memoir, and we do the same style.
Exactly. Wait, so did we mention the name of the podcast? Did we decide it?
Have we decided?
I mean, I think we did, right?
I think so. Yeah.
All right. So you want to say it?
So we should have started with this, but the podcast segment of Books and Beers is gonna be called Talk to See.
Yeah.
Why? Because last year, or was it 2 years ago? 2 years ago, I went to Puerto Rico, and I started saying in Spanish, "Habla pa ver." So talk to see.
To see what happens, yeah.
To see what happens, yeah. Because there's times that things get awkward, and you're just like, "Oh, say something." Talk to see. Come on, guys, say something to see what happens. And we've been saying that between my group of friends. We say that a lot.
I started writing with like talk to number 2, and then just a C.
Just a C.
Yeah.
We actually have a couple of videos with our friends that we made a talk show called Talk to See. And the point of this podcast setting, I think, is rather than obviously today we're analyzing a book like entirely because we both read it. But I think in the future we can do this, and we can also like bring in like maybe authors like we did with Roland Marullo, and we can have guests.
Yeah, like a few of our friends. Any
like a few of our friends.
Matthew McConaughey, if you want to come on.
Matthew McConaughey,
you're invited.
If you want to come on, like obviously you're invited. We'll pay for the tickets. But yeah, I mean it's just like another way to. It's a more casual way to talk. Obviously, it's longer episodes.
And it's not just going to be books. Like, we're going to pretty much talk about whatever.
No, whatever, yeah. Finance, if you want to come on, drop a comment. We'll make it work. But, yeah, it's just a different media, a different way.
Episode that we're going to do occasionally.
Yeah, a different episode that we're going to do occasionally just to see.
Yeah, we're still going to post videos, like, every single Wednesday.
Right.
And some might be, like, talk to see episodes. Some might be just, like, normal reviews. Depends. Barney is living to New York in a few months.
Yeah.
So we'll see how we do about that. I mean, we're definitely going to, like, see each other. So we might, like, travel and do this type of episodes. We might do, like, a few soon. We'll figure out. But, I mean, if you liked it, you guys have any opinions about what you think
recommendations, too.
Yeah. Leave us a comment or follow us on Instagram.
Follow us on Instagram, Books and Beers Club. Drop a like, a comment, subscribe.
Oh wait, one last thing. So we're not reviewing the beer because he's drinking Heineken because it's a repeated book. So we're repeating a beer, which Barney did. Make Your Bed was a book that you reviewed when you reviewed this beer, and Make Your Bed was a book about a speech that was given in a UT Austin graduation.
That's true.
Which is the same school that Matthew McConaughey went to. So
that's a connection that you would only find in Books and Beers.
Yeah. So so last thing, what do you think is the rating for this book? By the way, ratings in Books and Beers, a lot of people ask us about this. 1 through 5. It's not
you know what your rating was? Do you remember or no?
No, I think it was a 4 point.
Don't tell me. Okay. For me, I think this book is. I think we have to start keeping track of the ratings.
Yeah.
But I think this book is probably a 4.5.
4.5.
4.5. It's just a great book, to start off. It's easy to read. It has pictures. It has a lot of things, like you don't get tired of it, because there's books that you, after like 100, 200 pages, you want to start reading another book, you get tired. this one doesn't get repetitive because after reading after reading a story, you get a picture, you get a journal entry, like a journal note. Like there's so many things to read, and the stories are completely different from each other, and they all hit. Like one of them talks about how you work on yourself and you're gonna attract people. Another one is how he went to the Amazon. Like this guy, honestly, he's the coolest guy on earth. Like he's done everything. And so it definitely keeps you reading, and yeah, I think a 4.5 is
4.5. I like it. That might be my same number. I'll see if I'll put it somewhere. I like it though. All right, anything else?
I think I really I had fun. Hopefully everything worked out. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, it means we didn't have any technical difficulties.
Yeah, it's a developing process for us because we talk to each other in Spanish. So talking to us in English, like talking to each other in English is a little different.
Weird, but
we'll figure it out.
So audio's working fine. Hopefully the cameras are working well. Hope you liked it, Falcon.
Thank you. It was awesome.
Great talk.
We'll see you next time. Thank you.
To talk to see.